What's going on, everybody? This is your man Abe-Unit, reporting live from the DMV. But you know what? That's enough for me. Today on the Abe-Unit Show, I have not one but two special guests in the building. We're going to start off with a quick intro before we dive too deep into the show. Let's go!
Hi, my name is Ethiopia and Ailon Haileyesus.
And I'm Ailon Haileyesus.
And this is the Abe-Unit Show.
Ethiopia and Ailon Haileyesus. Engineers, tennis superstars, and followers of Jesus. We'll get into all of that, but first, it's time for the warm-up. Are you ready?
We are.
If you can have unlimited supply of one thing, what would it be?
Unlimited supply of one thing?
I think water.
Water.
that first came to mind too. Snickers bars.
A place that you have visited that you do not want to go back to.
So I went to New Orleans and I didn't like it. I don't want to go back.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't like being in hot places.
Okay.
Maybe like New Mexico.
New Mexico. Something about you that people cannot tell by just looking at you or your social media.
For me, that I love sports. I'm very athletic.
You are? Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was going to say tennis. Like, we really enjoy playing tennis.
Okay. Something that is not a big deal to other people, but it is to you.
Ethiopia.
Ethiopia.
I think playing the guitar.
Playing the guitar.
Yeah.
What is something that you're not good at currently, but would love to be great at?
Speaking Amharic fluently.
Okay.
I mean, I can speak a little bit here and there and hold conversations casually, but fluent Amharic speaking.
For me, it's writing in Amharic.
Writing in Amharic.
Yeah, I'm still learning that. So.
Favorite holiday?
Christmas.
Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to say Christmas too.
How do you like your eggs?
Well done, scrambled. All the way.
Same thing.
Okay.
Copy.
Favorite TV show?
For me, I don't really watch TV, but if I have like a sermon I want to watch or something from Jesus' Image, is my favorite.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't watched a TV show in a long time. Yeah, I would just say just watching sermons.
First job you ever had?
My first paid job was my internship.
Internship?
Yeah.
Okay. What were you doing?
So I was doing like computer programming.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
My first internship was at USAID in DC. Yeah, and that was like my first like paid job.
Okay.
In DC.
Oh, these are incredible first jobs. Your favorite thing about yourselves?
I think for me, I love being focused on what I'm doing. So if I like doing a lot of things, and so being just like busy and active is what I like to do, and I like about myself.
I like being competitive.
Competitive.
So I think that's
competitive nature.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. All right. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for being here. So when I first had the idea for this show, you two were at the very top of my list. So it's very exciting for me that you guys are here. So
we're glad to be here.
Can you walk me through your educational history? You both obviously went to undergrad and grad school, and what was that journey for you like?
Yeah. For me, I knew I wanted to study something in the medical field, and I wanted to be like maybe a doctor in the future, but I knew I loved math and physics and science, so I wanted to stick with maybe like engineering because my parents are both engineers.
Okay.
And my sister was also going into engineering too, being older than me. So I knew I wanted to focus on like biomedical engineering and then maybe like stick with that in the future as a backup in case I didn't want to go to medical school in the future.
Yeah.
So going into undergrad, that's what I determined to study. And I took research opportunities, internships, and tried to focus my mind on what I could do around the medical field. I did internships and like observed surgeries. I knew I didn't want to be in the hospital.
Okay.
So I completely changed and went directly through biomedical engineering and continued through for my master's that way. So, yeah.
That's incredible.
And then for me, so I studied renewable energy engineering. And that was my bachelor's degree. My master's degree was in mechanical engineering with a focus on energy and the environment. So I knew, starting from the 8th grade, that I wanted to study solar, wind energy, hydro, geothermal, all the renewable energies. So I found that program exactly how it was in John Brown University. At Penn State, I was studying like environmental science, but it didn't feel like a fit for me.
Yeah.
So, but John Brown University had exactly what I wanted, and I've always wanted to provide power to people, like electricity, to people who live in darkness.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how, like, where I am right now.
And it started from our trip to Ethiopia. The first time we went, like, she was really into that, like, electrical solar area, and I was surprised to see the medical infrastructure there and how I could make a big potential there in the future. So that really started our passion, like when we went to Ethiopia in our middle school years, and that's kind of what drew us to our fields.
Engineering.
Yep.
Okay.
Engineering.
No, that's awesome. So, and I guess I was going to touch on that a little bit. So, how you said middle school, that's around the time that you started doing this. So, if you can go back a little bit, even elementary school or just being 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, is when people ask you what it is that you want to do when you grow up, is that the same answer at that point?
Mm-hmm. I think so, because our parents are engineers, so we always knew about engineers.
Okay.
Like, we knew that engineers can build bridges, they can build buildings, they're good at math.
Problems.
Yeah, they're good at math, they solve problems, so that's always, I feel like, what we lean towards.
Yeah, and whenever there's opportunity to, like, go into different activities in the library or, like, a local community organization, we would do, like, STEM activities and, like, always get involved in that because our parents were also looking for those opportunities. So it felt like that's where our desires were headed.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's incredible. All right, now touch on a little bit what it is that you currently do. What fields are you at, and where are you working, if you're able to say?
Mm-hmm. So I work in the international development space. So most of my projects, I work on solar projects in the Africa region. So right now I'm working in like maybe 14 different African countries. And so I work at a consulting company, and we work on solar projects for like USAID funded projects, World Bank funded projects, African Development Bank. And then, so my company, we do the engineering work for them.
Okay.
And so we provide technical assistance and then also project management support on different solar projects.
Yep. Yeah, and I work at Stryker. It's a global company that's focused on medical devices for hospitals. So they make like beds and light fixtures and different x-ray machines. But for me, my division specifically is the spine division. So Stryker's spine division. And we work closely with like the surgeons in the hospitals, like orthopedic surgeons that do spine implants, like spine fusion cases. So patients that don't have like proper like back function or have a trouble of like walking because of the back pain, we develop implants that go into people's spine. So the surgeons use the implants that we develop, and we do a lot of like mechanical testing, and we go into the hospital sometimes and also talk to the surgeons and see what they want to design and what they want for their patients, and so we develop around that.
Okay. See, just hearing you both speak on your careers and where you're currently at, I hear the passion in your voice and like the empathy, and like you enjoy what it is that you do because you're solving problems for people that are in need. Where does that come from?
So I think for me, it came from just at a young age where our parents used to tell us stories of their life in Ethiopia.
Yeah.
And so whenever they would tell us these stories, like I personally felt like I was there with them, like, you know, going through the struggles, going through, you know, with them back then. So I think that's where it came from. And then I picked renewable energy because on my first trip to Ethiopia, I noticed like electricity was a luxury there. And here in America, we don't have to worry about the lights flickering or turning off, you know? So I was thinking, you know, there has to be a solution. And so that's why when I heard about solar, you can get electricity just from the sun, and there's so much sun in Africa.
So much sun.
So I was like, you know, there has to be electricity.
Yeah.
And I need to see that in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Where no one's limited by the amount of electricity they have, you know. So that's where it came from me.
Yeah. For me, it was kind of similar, but in a different sense with the medical field, because I've seen like all the different opportunities here in America and then in other countries as well, not just in Ethiopia, but in Asia and South America and Latin America, and just seeing the need that's there and seeing like, wow, I don't want to take advantage of what I have without giving it to others. Like I want to let other people have the same opportunity as me. I mean, we can consider ourselves blessed, but what about the others? There's so many billions of other people that need support too. So we're not just here for ourselves, we're here for the others.
So you're both well into your careers right now and obviously making a huge difference in your respective fields. Where do you see yourselves in 10 years, career-wise?
I mean, I feel like in 10 years, let me see, how old would I be? Okay. Yeah, I think, so I would want to be working somewhere in Africa. I don't know, maybe it's Ethiopia. I mean, my name is Ethiopia. Where else would I go?
Where else would I go? It's crazy.
So maybe working in Ethiopia, but also traveling, like, back and forth, and just working for a company that's providing tangible outcomes, providing solar to households, solar to different companies, and then also advising the Ministry of Energy there on their national electrification plan.
Oh, that's incredible.
For me, I was thinking I would like to help empower the students and others professionals in Ethiopia and other sub-Saharan African countries, because there's just so much need there and so much potential. There's a lot of students and graduates that come out of the universities there, but they're looking for jobs, they're looking for opportunities to use what they learned. And so creating those opportunities for them, whether it's through the biomedical engineering departments all around the country in Ethiopia, or in just in the medical professionals, and helping them provide opportunities for them. That's kind of what I want to do, and then just encourage the younger generations as well.
Yeah, and it's interesting because we've talked about your careers up until now, and you've dropped in Ethiopia a lot of different times. So I can tell how that's great. Don't apologize for. So I can tell how passionate you are about Ethiopia, and I guess my question is, you were born and raised here. So how is it that you were able to develop this love and connection to a point where you actually want to go there and make a difference? How did that come about?
Yeah, so I think that came about, our parents would tell us these stories of their childhood, just growing up. And then I just developed a love for Ethiopia, the culture, the people, just the genuineness of the people. And then I think also my name being Ethiopia imprinted, I feel like, in my mind, on my heart, that, this country is waiting for me. Yeah. It's waiting. It's calling my name. I don't want people living in poverty. I don't want people lacking the basic necessities. I feel like that's available, and it's possible in our lifetime to see them, living successful lives.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've all also just grown up in both cultures. I feel even just being here, we still celebrate the Ethiopian holidays, Ethiopian New Year's, Ethiopian Easter, Fasika, and Ganna, all the holidays, and then also have this coffee ceremony and the Fandisha popcorn. So we love just having that culture, and even listening to Amharic Mazmur, that's my favorite. We love just playing that in the house and singing along with it. I think that really it makes me feel like I'm there somehow.
Connects
and so
you. Yeah,
exactly. It connects me to my people, and so that's just every time we are in that kind of atmosphere, it just even stirs up stirs us up to go back. We want to go back there. So
that's awesome. Yeah. And then you touched on culture and food. Mm-hmm. All right, so I think there's pros and cons to it, right? I think there are things that I absolutely love about the culture and the food, and there are things that I'm not such a huge fan of. What is your favorite and least favorite foods?
Okay, Ethiopian food?
Ethiopian food.
Okay, my favorite food would be... Oh, this is hard because I love everything. Does it have to be only one?
Yeah, let's keep it to one. Let's keep it to one.
Okay, I would just say, Alicha Segawat.
Alicha Segawat?
Yeah, because I don't... if it's too spicy, I can't really enjoy it. So I just stick with the Alicha.
And your least favorite?
Oh, my least favorite? What would be my least favorite? I
was thinking of basso.
Oh yeah, I don't like basso.
You don't like basso?
No, I don't like basso.
Wow.
It's a texture thing for her.
I can't eat basso, yeah.
Okay. Would you drink it? Because they drink it
Oh,
too.
they do. Drinking is fine.
You would drink it?
Yeah.
My favorite is Abe Misir. I love
Abe Misir?
Yeah, Abe Misir was.
I don't.
I don't know
That's
why.
solid
It tastes so
choice.
good with all like the special spices like kororima. I think makes everything taste good.
Okay, that's nice.
And then what I don't like is teresaga, which I know she likes that.
You don't like
but
the racer?
I don't. It's
Okay.
just you can't really chew it, and I don't know. It's not easy to eat. So
Yeah.
and it's also I don't know if it's healthy, but
It is healthy.
Let's-
It's the raw meat, It can't get better than that.
It's the greatest source of protein. Right?
Mhm.
All right, how about culture? Like, you talk about the celebration, X, Y, and Z, but is there a culture that you're like, yeah, I cannot live without this?
The first thing that came to my mind was like the community sense of like
Uh-huh.
Ethiopians. Like whenever you're there, or even if you're on the street or wherever, you would just like say hi to Ethiopians that you pass, and you feel like it's just like a community, like one family.
Yeah.
So I feel like you don't really have that kind of sense of family feeling if you're like if just like from other cultures. So I like that about being Ethiopian.
Yeah, I kind of like that too. I mean, you can spot an Ethiopian from like a mile away.
Yeah.
And it just makes us happy, like whenever we see that. I don't know.
Yeah,
No, how many times have you visited?
Ethiopia.
I think
Yeah,
like 6 times.
Yeah, 5 or 6 times only.
5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
You keep going back. What's your favorite thing about being there?
So most recently, so we were there. So Thanksgiving 2021, and we were there for about 2.5 months, and a lot of things changed. We really like Endoto Park. Just unlimited attractions. We went there the first day, and we thought we saw everything.
Yeah.
But then we realized we didn't see the go-kart. We didn't see the trampoline park, the zip lining. So I think we like those outdoor activities.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot more to do now. Like even the Abros Library, the new one that was just inaugurated in January, just like seeing the development of Ethiopia, Friendship Park, Unity Park, even the streets and like different buildings going up all the time. It's just crazy to see all of that going so fast, being developed.
Yeah.
So
Okay, cool. You said go-karts, you said libraries, you said all these different parks.
Yeah.
So my question is, what is the biggest misconception about Ethiopia? Because I think people hear that and they're like, what?
yeah,
All that stuff exists, but what, like, to you personally, having been there multiple times and obviously having grown up in America, what do you think is the biggest misconception?
I think the biggest misconception is that people think in Africa there's no potential. Like, they kind of see Africa as people that, they don't have anything. They don't have, modern entertainment. They don't have anything to do, But in reality, especially now, I mean, so many things are booming and there's so much potential.
Yeah.
And you just have to go and see it for yourself.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. The only thing I would add is like even like kids recently like asking me like, oh, there's internet in Ethiopia. Oh, like you have balls and like just asking random things. I'm like, there's a lot of things that you can do in Ethiopia. And it's like similar to here too. So there's a lot.
It's just not all poverty.
Exactly. It's not.
If we can shift gears a little bit, I want to talk to you about your spiritual journey. What was that process for you, like coming to Christ, and when did you come to Christ?
I asked my mom, I want to accept Jesus into my heart. We went to a Christian school actually our whole life.
Okay.
So like we knew about Jesus.
Yeah.
But knowing about Jesus is different. You have to have that relationship with him.
Yeah.
So I think it was not until like college, like my sophomore year, where I started to figure out, Jesus wants to be your best friend.
Mm-hmm.
He's not like, an idol, but he wants that relational, friendship with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, I mean, we had a similar childhood growing up. We went to the Christian school. We went to church, Ethiopian church and the American church, the same on Sundays.
Yeah.
So we were always like in the atmosphere. We had Bible study at our house. Like from our Ethiopian church, they would come and do like adar sadot, like overnight prayer.
Okay.
But for us, like for me specifically, it was, I accepted Christ as my personal savior at a young age, like my sister, around like 6-7 years old. But then when I remember in my 12th grade year, we had a class called Romans class where we went through the whole book of Romans. And that year, we were memorizing verses. Like every year, we would memorize verses at school.
Yeah.
But that class, I was thinking, like, wow, when we learned it from just the story and the explanation that Paul gives about, like, Christ and his death and the Spirit of God and him living inside of us, like the resurrection power, I was thinking, like, wow, this is actually real. Like, it's not just a history book. It's not something that's a myth or a tale, a fairy tale, but it's real. And so that's, like, in 12th grade, I was like, wow, I need to make this serious and go forward with, like, my relationship with Christ. And so that's kind of where I started. And then through college, I always looked for, like, Christian community groups and, like, those organizations that had Bible studies, and was always around those kind of people because I knew that friends were very important. Like, having the wrong friends would lead you the wrong way. So I tried to surround myself with those like believers who would lift me up and grow me closer to God.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it sounds like growing up in a Christian household helped expedite that process for you. And I say that because I've had conversations with people that grew up in a Christian household, almost kind of rebel. Did you ever have that moment where you're like, nah, like, it's too much church, I didn't want to do this?
When I went to college my freshman year at Penn State University, I met Christians, and they wanted to go out. They wanted to go to, parties. They wanted to go drink and everything. And then I said, but guys, you're Christian. And then, and then they told me, yeah, Christians can drink, Christians can go party. Yeah. And then I was thinking, but in my mind, I was like, but we didn't grow up like that. That's not how we were told. So then I started questioning. I'm like, oh, can Christians do this? Can we go out and do all these things? So then, that was the time when I was like, kind of rebelling and kind of like thinking,
take a little sip.
maybe it's fine.
Yeah.
But then it wasn't until my sophomore year where I was I started to. It was when I transferred out of Penn State to go to. My family moved to Arkansas, so I went to John Brown University, and they had my exact major. I knew I was supposed to go to that school, even though again it was a little Christian school, just like how I grew up, like in the Christian high school and everything. So it took me back to like my original roots to this Christian school, and there I transferred there, so I didn't really have friends, and then that's when I realized Jesus can be my best friend. I thought he was just my God, but I didn't realize he could also be my best friend, and so then that's when I was like, I don't want to hurt God's heart, I don't want to mend with the world. I know we're supposed to be in the world, but not of it. Mm-hmm. So then I started to, maybe it was the Holy Spirit's conviction in me saying, I want you to stand out. I want you to be different. What are ways you can be different? Mm-hmm. And so then that's when I grew in my relationship with Christ, was starting from my sophomore year, when I realized, Jesus is my best friend. Like, imagine Jesus being with you and accompanying you everywhere you go.
Yeah, for me, I don't know. I think I'm thinking back to like my high school and like early college. I feel like the Lord really protected me and like sheltered me from the outside world. So I don't remember a specific time if I like thought that it was wrong to, like, my parents were forcing something on me, or like the church was forcing.
That
I didn't feel pressured.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I was thinking, like, I knew they had the best for me because they went through they already went through, like, college life. They went through all of this. Like, they already have experience. So I knew that they had that. So I didn't want to, like, go against that because I knew that they had the best in mind.
Yeah, they're giving you a cheat sheet on how to, like, maneuver.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, they guided me through, so.
So what is it that people get wrong about Jesus and Christianity?
I think they make it just so complicated. Thinking like, oh, you have to read this many verses a day. You need to go to this church. You need to like do this long prayer, or you need to like help the poor, and then you'll be saved. Or you need to like do so many like legalistic things. Like don't watch this, don't do this. But I think it all starts from love. Like if you love Jesus first, and then you will automatically be disgusted of those old like bad things. Like you wouldn't want to listen to something that you know is wrong. You wouldn't want to do those kind of things. So I think just people, make it complicated. It just starts from love. Like when you love Jesus, everything else comes naturally.
Yeah. Is there a story, book, or a chapter or verse that you constantly find yourself going back to?
There's two that like right away came.
Yeah.
But I guess I'll do the first one. Matthew 6:33. It talks about seeking first the kingdom of God and His righteousness. And so I think having priorities is what is really important, especially as like a young professional or a young college student or a high schooler. Just having priorities in your life, like when you put God first in everything, and then He'll work it out. And the chapter also talks about like not worrying about your future. I remember like going to my exam sometimes and thinking like, oh great, like what if I fail this exam? What if I don't do good? And then like my heart would like start racing like faster, and then I would like I didn't know what to do. But then I always come back to that verse and think like this is not the end of the world. Like the world will still continue on. You will still be able to like live your life. You don't have to base your whole life on this exam. So that would just free me, like knowing
comforting.
Yeah. So I would know that God had it in control, and so making that prioritization of seeking Him first.
For me, it would be Jeremiah 29:11, where it says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future." I like that because, I mean, sometimes like life can get confusing and then you don't know like which way to go. But then again, you know, it comes back to the verse you mentioned. Like if you keep God first and then you seek His ways, you know that He'll direct you into the right path. And every step you take, you know, He's going to prepare your future the way that He wants it. And so I think that's comforting for me to know that He has a perfect plan for me. I just have to take action, be proactive, and continue to seek Him. And then He'll let the lines fall perfectly in place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's amazing. And you both mentioned seeking God first. And I think that's important because a lot of Christians or people come into Christianity thinking, oh, I'm about to get this, I'm about to get that, I'm about to get this. And then as soon as it doesn't happen, they get disappointed and they're very like extremely against it. But I think you both said it. It's like you have to seek His will and His guidance. So that's incredible.
Yeah, and I think like whenever people see material things or like success as what like as a drawing thing to Christianity, like that's missing the point, because Jesus Himself is our blessing. Like we don't have to be looking for other things around or like thinking like, oh, He's going to give me this and then that's what calls me blessed. Like that's my blessing.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it's a blessing to have like a car, a house, a family, but if you don't see Jesus as your blessing first, and all those things are pointless, they don't get you anywhere. Like when you seek your satisfaction in Christ Himself, like that's the biggest blessing. So,
like, what's your advice for somebody that just got saved?
Show me your friends, and then I'll tell you who you are. So if you're still hanging out with the friends that you were hanging out with before, there's a high likely chance that you will still continue acting and behaving the way you were if you're still hanging out with the same old friends.
Yeah.
So I think the first thing I can recommend, and I've seen this in my life, is to cut off those people that led you down the wrong path. Cut off those people that you don't want to be like, and start choosing your friends wisely.
Yeah, and that might be hard because, you know, like people might be tied closely with their friends and it might be like a close relationship, but light has nothing to do with darkness. Like when you are in the light of Christ, you cannot be around darkness. Like you automatically expose the darkness. Yeah. And so I think it's important to make that kind of a separation from the darkness. And once you're committed, like you're all in. There's no half and half. You can't be 1 foot in and 1 foot out. Like it has to be fully in because God wants our whole heart.
You can't be lukewarm around
exactly.
Here, right? Okay, I want to talk about Kingdom Light. You have a platform on YouTube, Kingdom Light. I love watching your videos, your chemistry, your interaction on there. Can you tell the people what that is about and how they can follow you?
Yeah, so we started Kingdom Light 2019 when, you know, we felt a burden or like a passion to reach the younger generation and our generation for Christ. Especially the children, they'll go to school and they'll learn different things that their parents never even taught them. And so sometimes it can kind of blind them to when it comes to the Bible, and they'll start to question, you know, what their parents told them or what their pastor told them, and start, you know, believing other things about creation, about how to live. So we wanted to just draw them back to Jesus, our firm foundation,
and like who they are, their identity.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of like different voices in this world, and
Yeah.
the devil loves using like those like sounds, like discouraging people and like leading them to the wrong path. And we wanted to be there for the younger generation and show them that like there's so much more you can do. Like, don't look to the world. Look to Jesus himself. He's the one that we all need.
Yeah.
So just encouraging words like that.
And also, one of our first videos that we did was talking to them about, you have a purpose. Everyone has a purpose. Because sometimes life can get so hard and people can get confused. But we want to remind everyone that, God created them for a purpose, and they can do something that everyone can't do.
That's awesome. And you're both so much accomplished at a very young age, right? What is it that you're most proud of out of everything that you have done or been involved in?
I think for me, one of the things I guess I've been most proud of is maintaining my relationship with Christ, like growing my relationship with Christ, and then seeing where that takes me.
Yeah, I think I was thinking around the same lines. Just knowing Christ and like and his love for me. I think that's what I'm most proud that I know. Like in the Bible, it says like boast in the Lord too. So like I think that's where it comes from too. Like there's nothing else that I would be proud of besides him, because if it wasn't for him, he's the one who gives us life. Like he is life himself. So he is not just providing things, but he is the provider and he is the provision. So like knowing that everything, he is all in all, that just makes me like so joyful. And because of that, like no one can take my joy away.
Right.
Like there's nothing in this world, like there's nothing that can be done to take my joy away. If someone takes my job away, like I'm still joyful. Like,
right.
So just knowing that he is a source of everything, I think that just like builds up my faith too. So.
Yeah. All right. Any advice that you have for young professionals starting out? They're like, man, Ailon, Ethiopia, I really like you guys. I want to do what it is that you do. Like, what do you have to say to me?
Pray, ask God for that purpose, and just ask God for clarity, and he'll show it to you. And then once you have that dream, once you have that goal, be proactive in it. Take the next step. Find people who inspire you. Reach out to them. But I think the first step is find your goal. What is your dream? Have that in mind.
Yeah, and I think for me, like stay passionate, stay focused, and take an action.
Yeah.
So those two things, I think if you stay focused and you know exactly what you want to do, reach out to those people, find people, whether it's on LinkedIn, open a LinkedIn account and get in the professional network and just like connect with people who you know are in a position that you want to be in. And then take an action. I think like even if it's an internship, if you don't feel like you're qualified or like eligible for a certain position, still apply. Like it's not going to hurt you.
Kill you. Yeah.
Exactly. And then also like keeping your faith in that too. Like when you ask God for his will, like you know that if he's going to open a door, no one can close it. And if he's going to close a door, no one's going to open it. So he's going to guide you no matter what.
Yeah. How do you want to be remembered?
For me, I think as someone who loves Jesus and loves people.
Yeah, I feel like for me, I'd want to be remembered by someone who loved Jesus and made a great impact. Like, someone who became the hands and feet of Jesus. I think that's what I was saying.
No. I asked you guys what your favorite things about yourselves was earlier, and what are your favorite things about each other?
I like how she's very proactive, finds opportunities, pursues it, and super adventurous. She makes me do things that I don't want to do.
Yeah.
And she's like so compassionate for like people, and like you can see like her kindness. Like she's very thoughtful, and so getting that kind of aspect too is really nice.
You don't make me cry.
I know. I need that tissue.
Thank you.
No, that's one. Do people ever confuse you guys for twins?
Oh, everybody. Even just yesterday.
Yeah.
Somebody thought you were twins?
Yeah. All the time. Yeah.
Any final thoughts? Anything that we haven't covered that you want to get out to the world?
I think like for me, when I experienced traveling, that was something that I really I wanted to share with the world. Like you can you can go out and experience other cultures and not just stay in your bubble, but also like experience languages or different people groups. So when I was in college, I did a study abroad, a couple of them, but my favorite one was in Spain.
Okay.
And I got connected with a church there because I like everywhere I go, I try to like find that community of Christian like believers.
Yeah.
And that was like I'm still connected with them to this day. Like we always send messages and
From Spain,
yeah. And I think that kind of like experience when you're traveling, you get to meet new people and connect with other believers in your faith. So that's why I like to encourage people.
For me, I mean, I know we already covered it, but I guess my last words would be just to continue to keep God first. Because if you don't keep your eyes on God, I mean, many other things can, get you distracted.
Yeah.
So when you keep your eyes on God first, He'll take you to places that you've never even dreamed of. So yeah, I guess that would be my encouragement is like keep your eyes on God and also be proactive.